Hey guys, it's Fida and today I've come up with the recipe of a butter cake. This butter cake is super delicious and I'm sure everyone is gonna love it. It's totally made up of butter and you cannot replace the butter with oil, but it's super good. This cake has a lot of restrictions and mainly things to follow, but after doing all that hard work, it's gonna taste delicious. This cake tastes super delicious with a butterscotch sauce, which I've already posted a video on, so I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to check out that recipe. Not only with butterscotch sauce, it tastes super delicious with any other sauces you like. So without any further ado, let's get on to making this butter cake. First, let's assemble the dry ingredients. For that, I've put a parchment paper on the bottom. I've kept a sift on top and we have to sift our dry ingredients 3 times. I have 1 cup of flour and 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder as my dry ingredients. And then you have to sift that 3 times. Butter cake is a type of sponge cake, and as everyone knows, in a sponge cake we're supposed to inflate in a lot of air. So we have to incorporate a lot of air. So when we sift it 3 times, a lot of air is incorporated into it, which will make our butter cake a bit more light, fluffy and tasty. Transfer it again and then sift it 3 times. I've sifted it 3 times and transfer it to your bowl. Now the dry ingredients are ready, let's set it aside. Here I have another big bowl, and into it let's add in 100 grams of butter. This is room temperature butter, which I've softened it really well. You always want to use softened butter for this recipe. Start beating the butter. And as we said earlier, this butter cake is a type of sponge cake and you need to incorporate in a lot of air. So you need to beat it in one direction and incorporate in a lot of air. If you beat it in the other direction, it's going to deplete all the air bubbles that we have incorporated in. So make sure to beat it in one direction. Right now you have to make the butter nice and fluffy. Once the butter is nice, fluffy and soft, you have to add in 3/4 cup of icing sugar. Add it little by little, beating after each addition. You again want to make sure that you're beating it in the same direction and not going in the opposite one. Slowly incorporate in little by little of the icing sugar. In between, scrape down the sides. And then beat it again. Now I've incorporated in all of that icing sugar and it's beaten and it's nice, fluffy and pale in color. You have a very thick mixture, so right now you have to add in 2 eggs. Add 1 at a time and you have to beat each egg for 30 seconds. Do not beat more than 1 minute or else the flavor of the egg will be intensified and it will taste a little gross. Add in the second egg and again you want to beat it from 30 seconds to 1 minute and not more than 1 minute. Both of the eggs are incorporated in. Into it I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's beaten well. You have a nice and fluffy mixture. At this point you can set your hand beater aside, you don't need it anymore. Scrape down the side once again. If you want, you can use a whisk instead of the hand mixer. And you just have to follow the same instructions. Now you don't have to use your hand beater anymore. Let's add in little by little of our dry ingredients and fold it in. The technique you have to fold it in is like scrape the sides and then cut through. Again, scrape the sides and cut through. This is how you have to fold in. This will again make sure that you're incorporating in more bubbles. So keep adding little by little of it and fold it in the same technique. It's a lot of workout, but be patient. I've added in all the flour. And now folding it well. The batter is going to be pretty thick, but that's fine. Now the batter is almost ready, but you can see it's really thick. So at this point, if your batter is thick, you can add in some milk. First I'm adding just 1 tablespoon. And there's no special amount of the milk. You have to add it according to your consistency. Only if your batter is too thick, you can add the milk. If it is not, you can go ahead and bake it. So I'm adding around 4 to 5 tablespoons of milk. You can add it according to the consistency. You want the consistency to be pretty thick and droppy. Keep folding in the same way. And right now you can see the consistency. I'm adding a little bit more. And that's the perfect consistency. You want it to be very droppy and very thick. So right now the batter is ready. Let's set it aside and prep our tin for baking. Here I have my baking pan. I've lined it with some parchment paper and greased on top with some oil. Put in your cake batter and then you might want to smooth it and flatten it with an offset spatula because the batter is pretty thick and it's not going to flow by itself. So straighten the edges and then tap it and shake it quite a few times, and then let's keep it in a preheated oven for baking. Now my cake is baked. Run a knife through the sides and then you can take it out of the pan. Flip it over and remove the bottom tin also. My cake is pretty hot, but you might want to cut it once it's nicely cool, because or else it'll crack while cutting, like how mine is. So let me just show you. You can see how soft it is. It's really spongy and it's super delicious. Now I'm gonna top it off with some butterscotch sauce, which I've already posted a video on. I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to check that out. And then you can serve the cake. It's not necessary you have to eat it with butterscotch sauce. You can eat it with any other sauce.
or you can eat it simply also. It's super delicious.
Thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked it. And if you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up down below. Also subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thanks once again and bye-bye.